Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mordred's Community EU4 Talks Politics. This week we got a special guest, Rarely. Rarely, welcome to the program.
Hello, everyone.
So, Rarely, as I understand it, this is your first foray, or you're relatively new to EU4 multiplayer. Is that correct?
Oh, I am new to multiplayer, to EU4 multiplayer.
But
Yes.
you do have some experience in strategy game multiplayers. Do you want to tell the
Oh.
audience a little bit about that?
Oh, I have lots of experience in multiplayer strategy. It started when I was like 12, and all my teams have played a lot of Command & Conquer Generals. I have many hours in there, thousands of hours. After that, I played a whole bunch of League of Legends. And after that, I played a whole bunch of Civilizations 5. Like, I have 5,000 hours in that, according to Steam. So yeah,
And
quite some experience with strategy games.
how would you rate your experience so far in EU4 multiplayer?
EU4 multiplayer, that's been really fun. But I don't really like all the backstabbing. I just like everybody to be honest with each other. That's more my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, gotta adjust, right?
Yep. And we'll get into some of that backstabbing in a little bit later here. But first, we'll start with a few of the non-continental wars that took place this previous week's session. First, Great Britain and Florence and Texas were involved in a little bit of a dust-up. Florence and Texas were able to wrestle away the British West Indies territory and take greater control over the Caribbean trade node from the Brits and their Canadian allies. Do you think...
Wait, which territory did it take exactly, the British?
So there used to be a colonial nation in the Caribbean that belonged to the British West Indies. It's still there, but it's quite a bit smaller now.
Oh,
So if you can see, they're down to 2 provinces. They used to hold quite a few more. And the Florentine West Indies, very interesting nation, receiving heavy subsidies from Florence, has chosen naval, quality, and maritime ideas. And from a naval perspective, they've got over 60 heavy ships. So they are quite a powerful nation, especially considering the current dynamics of naval warfare in EU4. It's been interesting to see the colonial nation wield quite a bit of influence. I know previously you worked with Florence. Great Britain traditionally was an enemy of Bavaria and France. Do you think that Florence has what it takes to invade Great Britain at some point this session?
no, and especially not when the session is probably over next week because of the new update.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have any power to contest Great Britain right now.
And then one of the other wars we saw in the New World, we'll call it the humbling of Texas. Texas fought against Great Britain, Peru, and Canada, lost part of Florida as well as Panama, gave up some territory there, and due to their lack of quality ideas, wasn't able to stand up militarily despite a tremendous amount of wealth, 137 from gold, 147 or 49 from production, and 125 from tax, puts them, I think, top 3 or 4 in the world from an income perspective. Did you expect to see a little more out of Texas, considering their size and strength?
I expected a lot more out of Texas because of all the gold mines. I didn't even know that when I started this multiplayer, that the Aztecs had so much gold provinces. Like, he defted them quite lately. I think that was a big problem of him.
Yep.
He could have utilized the gold way more to control actually the whole North America.
It was quite interesting to see Canada, Great Britain. Great Britain was able to bring a quality army to the field, and then Peru was able to get involved, and Texas just didn't have what it took to fight a 2-front war, which is extremely difficult in EU4. Now,
Yes, I can tell from experience.
we'll pivot back to mainland Europe and dive in a little bit. So you started this multiplayer as Bavaria, First session, relatively quiet, a little bit of expansion, going through the vassal feeding mechanics necessary to reduce aggressive expansion in the Holy Roman Empire. When did you realize that you were going to become one of the great powers in this season?
Well, I never actually realized it until I became suddenly first in income. I think that was after 2 or 3 sessions. And my income was the highest of all game. I was like, what happened here? I have still no idea how that happened, to be fair. But that was when I realized I probably had some huge influence in Europe. I had also many people asking me to backstab Jamie the whole game, which was quite annoying actually, because I already fought him like 1v4, 1v5 or something. I think it was a pity to join in that as well.
And that actually brings up an interesting point. There was a group of, let's call them Southern Europeans, who had opposed Jamie all session. I believe they reached out to you at one point, asking you, once you had established yourself as one of the strong powers in Europe, to join them against Jamie. I believe you were considering it, but you made a public declaration of your support for Jamie instead. What influenced that decision not to oppose Milan at that phase of the game?
Mainly pride. I didn't want to be the backstab guy, bullying out poor kid, you know.
Yep, makes sense. And
But game-wise, it would have been the best decision, of course, for me if I took up Milan.
that brings us to the next phase in the French-Milanese relationship. 1 or 2 sessions after that, you did the tag switch from Bavaria into France, had established yourself as a relatively strong power, were working peacefully with Milan and expanding along northern France, and Jamie decided to attack you.
Yes.
Did that catch you off guard?
It caught me off guard a lot, yes, because I supported Jamie the whole game. I actually loaned him some money. I had established good borders with him, and then he just attacked me for no reason. I still don't understand why, but well, it's up to Jamie, right?
Yep. And as that war dragged on, Hanover, Prussia, Byzantium got involved. Unfortunately, there may have been some mismanagement, and we were unable to break Milan. He broke through, forced you out of the war by using the war score mechanics. Hanover, Prussia, white peaced, and then Milan took some Byzantium territory. That next session, there was a sub for Byzantium. Jamie juggled us against each other a little bit, went into bankruptcy. You took back the land you had lost. Prussia took back some land, but there was a point where Byzantium declared on Prussia. You know the Byzantium sub Calico out of the game. He asked you to join because he was struggling. Hanover then promised to join you against Milan in the next war in return for you not entering that fight. How strongly were you considering helping out Calico in that war?
Absolutely not, because I needed my northern brothers to help me against Jamie.
And then, shortly into the following session, France, Livonian Order were essentially dismantling Milan, doing quite well.
We were going to win it, but I was going to 100% Jamie.
Yeah.
If nobody intervened.
Hanover then, myself, backstabbed you. What went through your mind when that war was declared?
I was like, what the fuck are these idiots doing right now? Like, we need to take out Jamie now, or never.
You leveraged an interesting mechanic, unconditionally surrendering to Jamie to quickly end that war and shift your full focus to Hanover and Prussia.
Yes.
That shocked me, I'll be honest. I didn't even consider that. Where did that come from? Was that just something you knew right away to do? Have you been watching other multiplayer streams?
Well, just because of tactical mindset, you cannot win a two-front war. I was like, okay, I'll just piece out Milan and then fight on Hanover as full as possible, and then get back later to Milan again to get all my cores back.
It seemed like you made that decision quite quickly and turned out to be a very good decision considering
Yes.
the wealth of income from the English Channel that you now control. And this also brings us to the next strategic mistake that Hanover made. So, shortly into that war, Sweden declared on Hanover a humiliation war, which Hanover did not realize was humiliation. I then, unconditional to you, you took Flanders and Holland.
Yeah.
Had I realized it was a humiliation war from Sweden, I just would have unconditional to Sweden, ending that war and being able to hopefully drag out the war with France. But instead, I didn't realize it was humiliation. We ended up taking land from Sweden. Bad choice number 2 by Hanover of the session. So that was a mistake. Now that brings us to this current state. Milan declared war on Byzantium to get at France and get around the truce timer. Florence joined. Hanover and Prussia, to relieve pressure from Milan, declared on Byzantium and Sweden. So now Europe looks as it does now: Sweden, Byzantium, France versus Florence, Milan, Hanover, Prussia. How's the war going for you?
The war, well, as you can see, is going horribly. I'm getting invaded by Jamie and Florence. I'm not going to win that. Me and Byzantium are not going to win that unless Hanover and Prussia peace out and attack Jamie. That's the only possibility of us surviving. And also, Milan and Florence have Tech 24, military Tech 24. France doesn't have it, and that's a huge setback for France. I don't even know. Byzantium has Tech 24 as well. Sweden doesn't have, so yeah, that's a huge advantage for them. So unless Hanover and Prussia are going to peace out and help us, we are going to die.
If Hanover and Prussia do peace out and decide to help, are you willing to work with them?
Obviously, yes. First things first, right?
Yep. What are your expectations as we go into either the final or the second to last session here this coming week?
My expectations, it will be all out war all the time in Europe. Nothing will change.
Do you think that
what,
Andalusia, Ethiopia, or India may get involved in Europe?
I have no idea about that. The only thing that's really interesting, is just England standing by all the time and promising to give people subsidies and loans to attack each other. Like, he's been sitting there all game long, or the whole campaign, just subsidizing everyone to fight each other. And nobody has opposed him. So I would like to see him opposed.
It is interesting. Great Britain has wielded quite a bit of influence in the European theater, first supporting Milan, encouraging disruption in trade anywhere outside the channel, created some tension throughout the map with his Florence engagements that dragged on for almost an entire session 2 or 3 sessions ago. The issue is, now that Great Britain has selected naval ideas, the only way to win is through a surprise invasion. Because of the Great Britain national traditions of morale of navies and heavy combat ship ability, as well as their fleet doctrine of wooden wall, it's extremely difficult to beat Great Britain's navy in a fair fight. The only way you can beat Great Britain is to land troops at the immediate declaration of war.
I think if Malaya and Florence went to ally or something, that they might take on the British.
Yep. Florence and Malaya allied could definitely do so. Malaya has similar idea groups chosen: maritime, quality, naval, which are the big three from a naval combat perspective, and Florence's vassal, obviously, maritime, quality, naval. So that would be interesting to see.
And another thing about Andalusia, I don't understand why he's not going for the British Africa. There's a lot of nice trade companies there that he can set up, right?
Yes,
It's
extremely
basically free for the
valuable land.
taking for him.
Yeah, those states generate a tremendous amount of income if he was able to take them. 10, 25, 35, yeah, probably an additional 60 ducats a month all told in income, which would be significant.
But when I look at their country, I don't see many army of them. They don't really have a huge income or something.
They have a good income. Their force limit is quite high. They only have 80 troops in the field when they could support 246. They probably could get close with their current income to supporting that army, because it would be mostly infantry at this point.
Yes.
But their manpower reserves are relatively low. Whereas France has a max manpower pool of over 400, Jamie over 5, Byzantium is right around 3, Hanover closing in on 4. Yeah. They would struggle to fight a long war, but they could fight a quick war against Great Britain for sure. Any additional questions or thoughts you have for our audience?
I think I was wondering about that guy. He was basically playing single player all campaign long. What's he gonna do? That's the most interesting part.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what that guy does. He did expand his reach, or areas of the world which he can spread influence through last session. So he has land in North America, South America, Australia, and technically Europe through the Tenerife Islands. He's quite rich from an income perspective, so he can now start exerting his influence. I'd expect that guy to throw some troops around in Europe. I just have a feeling he's going to try to do it.
He definitely should.
Yeah.
Now I hope he's going for Jamie as well.
That would be an interesting fight.
I would like to see that.
Well, rarely appreciate you taking the time and joining us this week, and best of luck to you this coming session.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I always enjoy these sessions. Until next time.
Until next time, folks. Have a good one.